this conversation, I will talk about freedom from want with my friend Sek. He's from Africa. Hi, Sek.
Hi, Daisy.
Let's talk about freedom from want first. Freedom from want means security, the bottom line of a people's life. I want to make a comparison between the bottom life in China and the bottom life in Western countries. So, what do you think of the bottom life in China?
Well, in the recent, there is a big gap between the bottom line in China and the Western countries. And we have to bear in mind that China is still a developing country, while the Western countries, for example, the US, has already developed. They are in that economic stage of mass consumption already, while China is still in that stage of drive to maturity or the take-off stage. Anyway, I think the Chinese government is working hard in order to improve in the living standard of its people, because they love their people and they know very well that they are responsible for a better living of their people. China being the most populated country in the world, it's not really easy to increase this bottom line because maybe the available natural resources cannot really support it to grow or for the change to take place so fast. And in this slide, we can see the Chinese government has also gone into business partnership with African countries, which I think it's benefiting both of them because with less than 15 years of intense economic cooperation with China, Africa's economy is also picking up. So with this kind of relationship, I think China is also going to improve in the living standard of its people. For a country to grow, for a country like China to grow, it cannot only depend on its natural resources. And this can be seen in the West, or from the West. The West took total advantage of Africa's natural resources to attain this level of economic development. So China is still on the run, and they have a brighter future for the Chinese people. For example, a friend told me that, for any farmer who wants to buy any electrical appliance, the farmer has to pay just part of the cost of that appliance, while the government pays part of it. So I think this is another way. If it's not the first or the second, I think, or the third, I think it's another way to improve. So it's another step taken by the Chinese government to improve the standard of living of people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But I think even the government pay half price of the TV. Not every Chinese, especially those working by hands, have a decent path through life. They can never have a two floors house and a car as Western countries farmers have, which means we don't have enough freedom from want.
Well, I don't think it's just about having enough freedom from want. And the recent China, the cost of houses in China is really higher, as compared to other countries, like the Western countries, But this is China. It's China. That's its policy, But I think, and they know very well that it's really high for the people because it accounts for the high rate of homelessness, So we have to know that it needs time for China to be built because no country was built in a day. Rome was not built in a day. The US was not built in a day. And so all the Western countries were not built in a day. So China cannot be built in a day. The change to a better life is a gradual process, and the path to a better future is narrow, rough, and difficult to go through. I think China is doing it step by step, and this is just the beginning of it. In the nearest future, I think the Chinese people living of standard is going to improve, or it's going to take another step. Maybe not like the Western countries or the Westerners. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer too. And there is a story about two birds. One bird is more aggressive than the other one, so it takes more food than it needs and leaves the other bird starving. So how could you interpret this story?
Well, Daisy, I would like to point out here that, in my opinion, I don't think the weaker bird is really that weak. What I think is that the bird just wanted to share what the bird wanted to share with the other bird. But little did it know that the other bird was out there just to satisfy its egoistic ambitions. So it took advantage over the other bird, making it weaker and less aggressive. Now, in explaining this, I will explain it in two directions. First, I will do it internationally, and I will also talk about it nationally.
Okay.
Internationally, if we can see, comparing the West and the Africans, because I will always cite my examples to Africa because I am an African. I know a little, if not more, a little about the African and West relationship.
That's good.
So before colonization, before the African colonization, Africa was doing well economically. From 1881, when the scramble for Africa began by the Europeans, till present date, there have been a lot of political, religious, and cultural confusion in this blessed continent. All this happened because they welcomed their brothers from the West. In their mind, they were thinking that they are their brothers who have come to share with them. But they didn't know that they went there in order to bring more problems to them, in order to cheat them, to make them become weak. All what they do to them was to violate their rights, treat them as slaves, torture them, deny them from freedom of speech in their own land, and all their riches were being taken away from them. Sometimes people say, it's good to be good, but bad to be too good. You know, I think Africans have learned a lesson that they will never forget. Thanks to God that now we have the Chinese, and I think Africa has a better future dealing with Chinese economically. The Chinese government is really doing good in Africa. It's doing great, and no matter how the relationship is, no matter the African relationship with the West or what, China still remains the best African partner in terms of business. Now, if I have to talk about this, if I have to explain or narrate the story nationally, within countries there are rich people, there are wealthy people. The gap is also the gap is also very big, between the rich and the poor. So what I think, in some countries, these people get rich. They got rich at the detriment of the poor people. And what I think they need to do in order to improve in the bottom line of these people is to share what they have with the people. Share what they have with the people. Not giving them money or clothes, but I think by investing and creating more job opportunities for the people will also help to improve in their living standards. Thank you.
Thank you. I think different people have different views about this story. I think each individual's efforts will make contribution to the improvement of those people's life. So thank you for your contribution.